the house where prayers worked overtime. I used to think love could hold anything together, even cracked walls and tired hearts. But after Mama died, I learned that love without truth is just silence waiting to break. Mama raised us in Montgomery, in a two-bedroom house with peeling paint and gospel humming through every Sunday morning. She worked herself thin, cleaning offices by day, nursing at night, always saying, "Y'all gone live softer than I ever did." When cancer took her, the house turned cold, like her prayers had followed her home to heaven and left us with the echo. My brother, Marcus, handled the funeral like he was born for control. My sister, Deja, stayed quiet, her grief bottled in neat lines and polite nods. A week later, the lawyer called about the will. We met in the same living room where Mama used to braid my hair and talk about faith like it was a real person. Marcus wore a dark suit, eyes sharp and steady. I knew that look, it wasn't mourning. It was calculation. The lawyer cleared his throat and read, "To my children, I leave my home and savings to be divided fairly." That word, fairly, cut through the air like glass. Marcus smiled, soft and dangerous, like a man who'd already decided what fair meant. I didn't know it then, but that smile would be the spark that burned every bridge between us. Mama left us her blessings, but we turned them into battlegrounds. And as the clock ticked in that quiet room, I swear I could feel her spirit watching, knowing this fight was about to dig up every secret we'd ever buried. Please like, subscribe, and tell me where you're watching from. 2 mornings after the will reading, I drove back to Mama's house. The front yard looked smaller, the porch paint dull. I reached for my key, but it wouldn't turn. I tried again, harder. Nothing. I knocked. Marcus opened the door halfway, blocking the view inside. He smelled faintly of whiskey and cologne. "You can't stay here no more," he said. My throat went dry. "Excuse me?" "Mama would have wanted me to manage things," he said. "You can't afford upkeep." I laughed, bitter. She said share, not steal. He held out a cardboard box filled with my things' photos, a scarf Mama crocheted, her worn Bible with notes in the margins. "Take what's yours," he said, shutting the door slow, like sealing a coffin. I stood there, numb, the porch light flickering above me like a bad omen. Neighbors passed by, pretending not to see. I sat on the steps till night swallowed the street. I'd lost my mother, my home, and now my brother. When darkness settled, I slept in my car by the curb, the old house glowing faintly behind its locked door. I could have screamed, could have fought. But I remembered Mama's voice whispering in my mind, "Baby, patience is a weapon sharper than anger." So I waited. I waited for truth to come crawling out from under the lies. Weeks passed like slow thunder. Marcus started fixing up Mama's house, posting photos online with captions like, "Building Family Legacy." His smile made my stomach twist. At work, I doubled shifts at the clinic, saving every dollar. My friend Rochelle noticed the heaviness on my face. "Girl, take that man to court," she said. I wanted to, but I needed proof. So one afternoon, I went to the county records office. The clerk searched the files and frowned. "You sure your name's on the deed?" she asked. "It's supposed to be." She turned the screen toward me. My name was gone. The new document showed Marcus as the sole owner, dated 3 weeks after Mama's death. My hands trembled. "That's impossible." The clerk hesitated. "Miss, this signature here, it looks copied." I walked out dizzy, the world spinning between disbelief and fury. The autumn air smelled of rain and gasoline. Marcus had forged his way into ownership, rewriting history with ink and arrogance. But I wasn't going to let my mother's name die in his greed. That night, I gathered everything, old receipts, texts, even photos of Mama's signature from church forms. If Marcus wanted war, I'd bring justice. Not loud, not messy, but steady, patient, and true. Just like Mama taught me. Every Friday, I parked a few houses down from Mama's old place. New tenants moved in, young couple, a baby in their arms. Laughter spilled through the windows. My mother's laughter used to sound like that. Marcus collected rent in cash every month. I watched from the shadows, recording when I could. My phone became my weapon. One night, the tenant's wife, Tasha, spotted me crying near the curb. She came out, gentle and curious. "Ma'am, you okay?" I told her everything about the forged deed, the will, my brother's betrayal. She looked horrified. Her husband stepped out, said, "If he's collecting rent on something he don't own, that's fraud." They agreed to help me record him. That night, I realized something Mama once told me: sometimes strangers fight harder for your truth than your own blood. The next Saturday, Marcus came swaggering up with a money clip. Tasha handed him the cash while her husband filmed quietly. Marcus bragged, "Ain't nothing she can do now. This mine." Every word, every grin was evidence. When I got home, I replayed the video again and again. My brother's greed had finally spoken out loud, and I had caught it. I tracked down Mama's old attorney, Mr. Langston. He'd retired years ago, but when I called, he said, "Your mother told me to expect this one day." When I arrived, he opened a dusty file drawer and pulled out a sealed folder. "Your mama made me promise not to hand this over unless something went wrong," he said. Inside was a notarized copy of her will, the real one, with my name listed as equal owner of the house. My throat tightened. "Are you ready to take this to court?" he asked. "I am," I said, voice steady. For her. That night, I texted Marcus one line: "You took what wasn't yours. I'm taking it back." He didn't reply. But the next morning, he showed up at my job wearing his best suit and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Let's stop this before you embarrass yourself," he said. I stepped closer. "Before I embarrass you, you mean?" For a second, guilt flickered in his eyes, then vanished. "You think truth matters in court? Money talks louder." I smiled. "Then I'll let both speak." That night, I filed my case. Court felt colder than I expected: hard benches, harder stares. Family filled the room, divided by whispers. Marcus sat across from me with his slick lawyer, smirking. My attorney presented the forged deed, the rent recordings, and Mama's original will. When Marcus heard his own voice on video, bragging about his property, he shifted in his chair. The judge stared over his glasses. "Mr. Carter, do you deny this voice is yours?" Marcus swallowed. "It's taken out of context." The judge leaned back. "Context doesn't change the law." The courtroom stayed quiet except for the sound of my heartbeat. When it ended, Marcus cornered me outside. His words were venom. "You'll regret this." I met his gaze. "I already did. The first day you locked that door." He didn't answer, just turned away, shoulders tense. That night, I went home, exhausted but lighter. The truth was finally walking beside me. Always maintained the same character look. The case stretched on for months. Every hearing felt like reopening a wound. Then one morning, Deja came home from Atlanta. I hadn't seen her since Mama's funeral. She walked into court in a simple black dress, holding Mama's old cross necklace. When she testified, her voice trembled. Mama wanted us to share everything. Marcus changed after she passed. His lawyer tried to twist her words, but she didn't waver. "That signature on the deed isn't Mama's." She had arthritis, her hand never moved that smooth. The courtroom buzzed. The judge ordered a handwriting analysis. Days later, the expert confirmed it: forgery. That night, I sat on the same porch steps where I once cried. Only this time I smiled. Revenge wasn't a loud fire, it was quiet justice burning steady. The final hearing drew a crowd. Family, neighbors, even old church folk filled the benches. The judge's gavel echoed like thunder, silencing the whispers. He read the verdict slow and deliberate. Marcus was guilty of falsifying documents and illegally profiting from Mama's estate. The property and its proceeds, he said, belong equally to both heirs. My breath hitched. I should have felt victory, but all I felt was exhaustion. Marcus stood frozen, his confidence melting away. He looked smaller than I'd ever seen him, like a boy caught stealing candy, not a man who betrayed his blood. When we left the courthouse, reporters shouted questions. I ignored them. Outside, the air was heavy with summer heat, and I could almost hear Mama's voice whispering, "Peace don't come from revenge, baby, it comes from release." Marcus stopped near his car. "You think you won?" he asked, voice cracking. "No," I said softly. "Mama did." He didn't reply. He just walked away, shoulders bent, disappearing into the crowd. That night, I returned to Mama's house. The key fit again, smooth and easy. Inside, the walls breathed familiarity. I touched the kitchen counter, the old cross above the door, the corner where her favorite chair sat. "Mama," I whispered, "it's done." But peace felt distant, like she wasn't finished teaching yet. Weeks after the verdict, Marcus showed up with someone new, a slick man in a blue suit claiming to be Mama's true legal counsel. His voice carried authority, his briefcase gleamed. "There's a revised will," he said smoothly, "granting all assets to your brother." My stomach twisted. The judge lifted an eyebrow and requested verification. The signature looked perfect, too perfect, like someone had studied Mama's handwriting under a magnifying glass. I glanced at Marcus. He wouldn't meet my eyes. During recess, Mama's old friend, Mrs. Helen, pulled me aside in the hallway. "Baby," she whispered, "that man ain't no lawyer. I seen him before, used to run with Marcus's crew. He forges papers for cash." My pulse thundered. Back in court, I stood. "Your Honor," I said clearly, "this man is impersonating an attorney." The judge demanded credentials. The man stuttered, fumbled, and finally confessed he wasn't licensed, and Marcus had paid him to fake the will. Gasps filled the courtroom. Marcus jumped up, shouting, "I didn't know he'd go that far." But his words fell flat. The judge ordered an investigation. The fake lawyer was arrested on the spot. Marcus sat down, pale and shaking. For the first time, his arrogance had turned into fear. That night, I cried, not from anger, but from the heartbreak of watching my brother crumble under the weight of his own lies. A few days later, while sorting Mama's jewelry, I found a folded slip of paper tucked inside her old perfume box. It listed a bank name, an account number, and a note that read, "Only to be opened together." My breath caught. At the bank, the teller looked at the file, then up at me. "This account's been dormant since your mother passed," she said gently. "Instructions say both heirs must appear." I hesitated but called Marcus. He sounded weary. "What's the point? You got everything already." "She wanted us both there," I said. The next morning, we stood side by side at the counter. No anger, no words, just two broken people staring at a memory. The manager opened a sealed envelope inside the account. It was Mama's letter. "My children," it read, "if you stand here together, that means you've walked through fire. Remember, no inheritance means more than peace. Share this and let love win." We both cried quietly. Inside the account was enough money to change both our lives, scholarships for his kids, a business fund for me. Marcus signed the papers without hesitation. No more pretending. When we stepped outside, he said, "She planned this all along." I nodded. Mama always did love a good ending. 2 nights later, I found a flash drive wrapped in a handkerchief inside her sewing kit. The note said, "For when forgiveness feels impossible." I plugged it in, and Mama's voice filled the room. "My babies," she began, her tone soft but steady, "I know y'all hurting. But hurt don't heal by holding on. Marcus, you've been chasing power. My girl, you've been carrying pride. Both heavy. Put 'em down." Her voice trembled. "All I ever wanted was for my house to be full of peace, not ghosts." Tears streamed down my cheeks. She spoke as if she were in the room, her faith still alive, her words wrapping around my heart like a hug I'd needed for months. Marcus came by that evening. I showed him the video. He watched in silence until the end, when Mama said, "If you ever lose your way, look for your sister, she'll guide you home." He broke down, sobbing into his hands. For the first time, I didn't see the man who'd betrayed me. I saw the little boy Mama used to chase around the yard, barefoot and laughing. "Forgive me," he whispered. I nodded. Mama already did. A week later, Mr. Gabriel from across the street knocked on my door. He held an old envelope, yellow with time. "Your mama gave me this before she passed," he said. "Told me to wait till things settled." Inside was a handwritten note. "If your brother forgets his way, remind him mercy don't make you weak, it makes you wise." I sat down, tears blurring the words. Marcus arrived later that day, eyes swollen. He'd confessed everything to the authorities, the forgery, the fake lawyer. "They're pressing charges against him, not me," he said. I told them the truth. I believed him. For the first time, his voice carried remorse, not defense. "I want to fix what I broke," he said quietly. I handed him Mama's letter. He read it twice, then whispered, "She never gave up on me." "She never gave up on either of us," I said. As he left, I noticed his hands trembling, not from guilt, but from the weight of grace. Mama's letter had done what no courtroom ever could. It reminded us both what forgiveness looked like. Marcus called a week later. "Let's bring the family together," he said. "No arguments, no business, just dinner." I hesitated but agreed. That Sunday, cousins, aunts, and uncles filled Mama's house again. The smell of collard greens and cornbread drifted through the air, and for the first time, laughter didn't feel forced. Before we ate, Marcus stood up. His voice shook. "I hurt a lot of people," he said. "But I'm trying to be better. Mama raised us on love, and I forgot that. I'm sorry." Silence fell. Then one by one, our aunts nodded, tears glistening. When he turned to me, I said softly, "Mama would have wanted peace at this table." We bowed our heads and prayed. That night, we washed dishes together like old times. The clinking of plates was the sound of healing. A few days later, the lawyer called me in. "There's something else you should see," he said. It was an earlier will, handwritten, naming Marcus as sole heir. My stomach turned, but the lawyer smiled gently. "Your mother replaced this one. She must have changed her heart before passing." I went home and showed Marcus. His face went pale. "She trusted me once," he whispered. "I failed her." I touched his shoulder. "She changed it because she believed you'd changed too." We locked both wills in the safe, side by side, proof that love evolves, just like people. Mama hadn't punished him. She'd left room for redemption. While sorting Mama's cedar chest, I found her Bible, worn and marked with notes. Between its pages was another letter addressed to me. "My sweet girl," she wrote, "if you're reading this, you've walked through storms. Remember, storms don't last, and neither does pain. You and your brother are two sides of my heart, one steady, one restless. Keep holding the light." Her words broke me open. When Marcus read it, his tears fell fast. "She knew me too well," he said. "She always did." That night, I lit a candle by her photo and whispered, "You were right, Mama. Love outlives everything." Marcus started spending every weekend at the house. He fixed broken tiles, painted the porch, replanted Mama's favorite gardenias. Watching him kneel in that soil felt like watching repentance bloom. He didn't speak much, but I saw the change in the way he listened, the way he prayed before leaving each day. Neighbors waved again. The house felt alive, no longer carrying grief but growth. One afternoon, he looked up and said, "I never understood how much this house meant to her." "It wasn't the house," I said. "It was the love inside it." He smiled, quiet and humbled. By summer, the house looked new again, fresh paint, clean windows, Mama's flowers blooming like forgiveness itself. Marcus brought his kids over on weekends. We cooked, laughed, played old records. One evening, we sat on the porch watching fireflies. "You think she's proud of us?" he asked softly. I nodded. "She's been proud since the day we decided to stop fighting." He leaned back, looking up at the stars. "You know, I thought losing everything was punishment. But maybe it was a lesson." "It was both," I said, smiling. And for the first time in years, peace didn't feel like a stranger. The morning sun was gold when I placed yellow lilies on Mama's grave. The air smelled of earth and rain, her favorite weather. "I did it, Mama," I whispered. "The house is safe. The family's healing." Marcus found his way. A soft breeze brushed my face, warm and tender. Maybe it was her. As I stood there, I finally understood. Mama's last lesson wasn't about the house or money or justice. It was about grace. About how forgiveness can rebuild what fury destroys. I walked away lighter, leaving the past buried where it belonged. Sometimes revenge feels powerful, but mercy changes generations. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe for more stories like this, and tell me, do you think she did the right thing?